Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call to order the March 23rd Board of Directors meeting for the Costa Mesa Sanitary District and invite all of you who are able to rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Vice President.
Okay. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
Thank you.
I was going to bring one of Arlene's.
Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Dr. Cheyenne Wright.
Here.
Dr. Nicole Wiltshire.
Here.
Secretary Arthur Perry.
Here.
Vice President Robert Uten.
Here.
President Michael Schaefer.
Here,
Thank you.
Any late communications
None, Mr. President.
and no ceremonial matters?
No, sir.
All right, the next item's public comments. This is the time set aside for anyone in the audience to make comments on items within our jurisdiction that are not on the agenda for this evening. Anyone wishing to speak under public comments? Any virtual public comments?
No, sir.
All right, move us to item C, the consent calendar. Anyone from staff, public, or board wishing to hold any item for separate consideration?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, the consent calendar passes unanimously.
Public hearing.
No public hearings this evening. So Scott will go right to your reports. And just a note that we are going to reverse item 3 and item 2.
Yeah, Mr. President, actually, I have another request. If we can delay item E1 until Julie Beretta arrives here from CRNR.
Sorry, which one?
Item number E1,
First one received.
first one, CRNR's performance
For the
review.
performance oh, we have no one. Let's do it now while they're not here.
Fair. So I should
All right.
wait a little bit till she arrives. And if you don't mind, we can take number 3 as number 1, and then number 2 as number 2. So.
I don't think we have any objections, so go ahead.
Okay, so yes, so this is the consider approving the County of Orange Waste Infrastructure System Enterprise Agreement. This item has been discussed a couple of times in the past by the board on March 11th and April 28th of 2025, and this agreement is being considered by all cities and special districts that provide solid waste collection services, and it's due to the County of Orange increasing their tipping fee or the gate fee at the landfills to accommodate for additional expansions of the landfills, also to accommodate the closure of the landfill up in Brea, which is going to happen within probably the next 5 years. So before you is the agreement. Once it's approved, and we do encourage the board to approve it tonight, because if it's approved tonight, then the gate rate will go into effect July 1st of this year at $67 a ton. If the board does not approve this agreement, then you'll see further down in the staff report that gate rate will increase to $67.76 immediately, and then it goes up to $92.70 a ton on July 1st of this year.
Excuse me, what was the rate you said if we approve it?
If we approve right now, it'll be $67 a ton, effective July 1st. If we don't approve it, then it will become $67.76 in this fiscal year, and then July 1st, it'll be $92.70, so a significant increase. And then you'll see in the staff report, there are increases the next 3 to 4 years. This is better. It's not what we wanted when we first met with the county, but I do have to admit it is better than the first original proposal. I think the first year it was going to go up to $81 a ton versus 67. So it is a little bit better. It's not where we liked it, but it's something we have to accept, and staff is recommending the board adopt the WISE agreement.
If we don't accept it and we go to the 92 or whatever at July 1st, are we segregated from everybody else who votes for it? Or is this a vote where the majority rules or?
No, everyone has to.
So every jurisdiction has its own rate.
No, this rate in the staff report is for everyone. This is the rate, this is the gate fee. This is the gate fee landfill rate. So
No,
everyone pays this rate, if they approve the agreement, at $67.
The majority has to approve the agreement.
No, not the majority doesn't have to. It's just, it's up to the individual jurisdiction.
Okay, that's where I kept reading it and thinking, well, if it doesn't really say that we would get it, but Newport would. So let's say Newport approves it and they pay 67 and we don't approve it, we're going to pay the 92.
Right.
That makes me feel not better, but makes me feel like I understand it better. Okay. Questions?
I was just curious if the trash that is being collected now with our recycling, has that gone down at the county level?
Trash, you mean,
I mean, trash amount, because we don't give as much trash because we're recycling more.
so you're saying has our tonnage gone in?
Tonnage.
It has not.
Oh, really?
It has not. And so, we're working with CNR why that is. We're not seeing a decrease in our trash tonnage to the landfill. So,
You-
something maybe we could talk about solid waste ad hoc committee. We can discuss that.
Yeah. One of the things that was discussed at an OCOG meeting several months ago was that the cities, obviously, there's a lot of cities that are involved with this. There was some discussion about the waste sites not selling their natural gas, their methane or natural gas, that the county had stopped selling the gas. So that was hurting their bottom line, obviously, because they weren't having the income from selling the renewable gas or whatever. Did that ever come up or?
I never heard that. No, that's new to me.
Have to ask at OCOG Thursday.
I read that somewhere also.
Did you? Okay. All right.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you refresh my memory? There was a committee that negotiated these rates, right? And they had representatives from,
It
so
was the
this
Orange
is,
County City Manager Association. And
okay,
myself and my colleague at Midway City Sanitors were involved in that negotiation as well.
nice.
You have a sense of, is everybody gonna accept
Yes.
67?
Everyone's gonna
That was
approve
kind
it,
of a
yes.
rhetorical question almost, I think. All right, do we have a recommendation or a motion?
I move approval.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second to accept the WISE agreement. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimous. What's the process now? Do you just let them know?
Yeah, so the city of Laguna Woods is taking the lead of acquiring all the agreements from all the agencies, and then they will submit all those agreements to the county to sign, and then everyone will have an agreement.
You want to do number 2 or?
Yes, thank you. This is to consider approving the franchise hauler acknowledgement agreement, which is technically part of the WISE agreement. As you see, there was an exhibit in the WISE agreement that includes the franchise hauler acknowledgement agreement. We decided to separate this and have it approved on its own. And this is a requirement by the county. All the cities and special districts that provide solid waste collection services have to sign a franchise hauler acknowledgement agreement with their haulers. And basically what it does, it gives the county some certainty. They want to have certainty of the amount of tonnage coming into the landfill, right? So they can estimate or receive their revenues they need to operate the landfill. This is what the acknowledgement agreement does, is it acknowledges that we will take our waste, including our residues, to the county landfill. And so that's all this agreement is for.
Have we already had that agreement agreed on? No, I mean, to talk about that.
This specific exhibit, yeah.
This is specific just for, the county wants just to make sure that the cities and the special districts have an agreement with the haulers to take their waste to the landfills. So they don't want to make sure it doesn't export
Because
it.
some landfill.
Right, they don't want to go out somewhere else outside the county. They want to make sure it's going inside the county.
Really
It's all about
tie it
revenues. Yeah, it is. But as I mentioned, I think I mentioned in my staff report, we looked at going outside the county and those rates are higher than what the county's offering anyway. So there's really no benefit of doing that.
Doesn't prohibit the contractors from exploring alternatives like composting.
Right, and that's why we're allowed to take our waste to Paris in Riverside, because we have an agreement already with CNR on the organic waste. It does not prohibit us from doing, taking it to comply with our diversion, our mandates with the SB 1383.
Are there any agencies in the group that you talked about where they're looking at alternatives? Other than landfilling? I don't know if there are any alternatives.
No, most cities that I'm aware, they're either going to CNR's AD facility or they're composting.
What do you need from us? Just,
Yeah, I need you to approve the agreement, approve this agreement.
And just as a note, our council's already approved it and CR&R has signed the agreement, if you notice.
we'll make a motion to approve the agreement as presented.
I'll second it.
Motion is second, discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries unanimous. Okay, and I assume that got that to sign this evening.
Yes.
All right, now we can go to item 1. Now that we've waited all this time for CR&R to show up. So nice to have you with us. Scott, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to turn this over to Marissa Pereda. She's going to lead us off.
Good afternoon, President and members of the board. So as you know, each year, district staff conducts a performance review of CR&R's contract compliance and overall performance. This year, 64 performance categories were evaluated using the rating scale excellent, satisfactory, unsatisfactory, and not applicable. For fiscal year 24-25, CR&R received 2 excellent, 38 satisfactory, 9 unsatisfactory, and 15 items that were not applicable for this review period. Overall performance did decline compared to the prior year, with unsatisfactory ratings increasing from 5 to 9, as well as satisfactory ratings decreasing. Notable positive areas include the continued excellent performance of CR&R's customer service designee, as well as CR&R support for the annual compost giveaway. Areas of unsatisfactory performance include tonnage reporting and billing, waste diversion, truck spills and spill response, truck signage, completion of cart relabeling, missed pickups, Christmas tree collection, valet service, and community outreach requirements. All other categories were rated either satisfactory or not applicable for this review. CR&R did review the evaluation and concurred with the district's findings. Based on the overall evaluation, staff does find CR&R acceptable for the current contract performance. However, the decline in performance is concerning if the trend were to continue. If performance does not improve, staff recommends carefully reconsidering whether to exercise the contract extension option beyond the current term, which ends June 30th, 2028. Staff also recommends that the Solid Waste Ad Hoc Committee consider potential measures to improve and increase performance, such as increasing liquidated damages amounts, or perhaps looking at new compliance categories for liquidated damages. This concludes my report, and I'm available to answer any questions that you have.
You talked about Christmas trees. At last meeting, we had a report that it was great.
That was for this current year. So this is the fiscal year 24-25 review. So it was the Christmas tree collection program last year, and there was considerable and notable improvement in this year's program. So that will be reflected on the next performance evaluation.
I was going to bring that up, actually. So if this is through June 2025, you know, this was almost a year. I mean, it's 9 months later. So would it ever be possible to get this sooner?
Last
The
year,
period it applies
yeah,
to?
typically it's presented in January. Due to timing with some other items that were ongoing at the same time, it was delayed, but typically it is presented in January.
Awesome.
As a report, what I often like to see is, you said there were a certain number, 9 unsatisfactory. Is it the solid waste committee that is going to be briefed periodically? Or the board be briefed periodically, on how CRNR can, make up some ground on the unsatisfactory?
So I think that's the suggestion for this upcoming solid waste ad hoc committee is to kind of represent this evaluation and then brainstorm on some ways that we can look at improving compliance. But as of right now, this is just the annual review that's brought before the board.
I have a question. How often does the committee meet? Do you meet once a month or?
It's on an as-needed basis. As items come up, we'll schedule meetings.
Seems like we probably need more meetings that we're having, I would
We'll
suggest.
check in on
Yeah,
this.
You know what I mean?
We have one meeting coming up.
Oh, but we should have one at least every month or every 2 months, so we make sure we're on top of stuff.
Let's put on that agenda for that meeting coming up, frequency of meetings, or whether we need to schedule, or let's talk about that as one of the items for the committee and see how we can embellish it. Did you want to address this now, or do you want to hear all of our stuff first? You'd rather hear all of our stuff? Overall, I know when I did evaluations for different things, the standard is satisfactory. You want to make sure that the agreement is being met. The bonus is usually the exemplary ones, and we have some exemplary. The compost event is fantastic. I mean, it's so cool to see our group and the CRNR group doing a community event like that. I'm really glad to see that one got an excellent. The unsatisfactory ones, in some cases, to me, they weren't glaring problems. They were more individual, missed a pickup. Let's don't talk about missed pickups because that's probably the heaviest one. The unsatisfactory equipment one about spills and leaks and things like that, they're inevitable. I mean, they're gonna happen, unfortunately. We see it on the news for other jurisdictions. There was a fire in a trash truck just the other day I saw on KTLA News. We had a spill at that private what's the name of the street that had the cobblestone? Yeah, okay. The actions that everybody took were exemplary. I mean, we have an issue. I mean, there was a spill, but the way everybody pitched in, us and CRNR, was exemplary to me. I mean, that's the kind of action we need to take. So even though it's an unsatisfactory, we did at least attempt, everybody, not just we, everybody attempted to make sure that complex was taken care of. The other one that ironically I noticed the other day, I sit in my garage a lot pondering what's going on. And when I do it on Thursday, when my trash is picked up, the guys are great. Whoever's doing my neighborhood, they're all great. But the signage thing, I noticed there were some signs that seemed out of place. And so that one kind of hit me a little bit, that maybe a little more attention to the signs on the sides of the truck. They're good signs. The one I saw the other day about making sure you use the right can, I thought was a really good sign, but that should be an easily fixed thing. I mean, and then the other one I think we got an unsatisfactory had to do with billing and paperwork and stuff like that. Okay, so that needs some attention as far as I'm concerned.
I'm thinking that, can I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
I'm thinking that the committee should be making those decisions if it's unsatisfactory or not. Get more information before it's determined unsatisfactory. You know what I mean? That's why I thought having the meetings more often would be a better way to go.
Those unsatisfactories should be part of our discussion. as that
Yeah, exactly.
committee.
That's what I'm addressing.
Anybody else?
Yes, I do. I'm glad we do this. Obviously, this is my first time being a part of this process. And it was really thorough and really informative considering it's my first time. I'll just go in order of the report for my questions. So for the delays in the reporting, I do get the sense that that's quite serious since that informs our billing. So possibly if we could be educated on the, minutia of that process, I think that could help us understand like the gravity of those delays. 4 months in a row, including incorrect occupancy reports. Like, I'd love to know more about how serious that is, because that sounds pretty bad to me.
We did bring an item before the board, maybe a few months into that, just to notify the board that we were delaying payments, the reason for the delay, and then once it had been resolved, we did let the board know. But yeah, we can definitely provide some additional information.
Yeah, perhaps a study session item, or I mean, I guess we have this ad hoc committee. That's why,
That's what I'm saying. So I'm pushing the ad hoc
Let's beef
committee
it
more
up.
up, be
Yeah.
more in tune of what's happening.
Yeah, and then not reaching the diversion goals to me seems also correlated to not reaching the community outreach goals. And that's concerning to me. And rather than CRNR's presence at events, which I think doesn't really have a huge impact on goals like that, I'd like to see them logging the hours with the door-to-door customers or mailers or all those things. That seems to be, I want to know that they're directly engaging with our customers in the field as much as possible. I think that's the most impactful, in my opinion. So those two are pretty big ones that I think are connected. Equipment we already discussed. I would agree to your guys's sort of read on that. Missed pickups or like frequency of collections. The statement in the report that stood out to me was we may assess liquidated damages when missed collections exceed 92 per month. During this evaluation period, we exceeded this threshold in all 12 months. That to me says, do we have the wrong goal here? Is it too low? Or is there like, a systemic problem what have we worked on so far in our conversations do you know if this pattern has continued since June?
I don't think this level of missed pickups has continued to occur. It was in part due to the 3-cart rollout, so drivers unfamiliar with new routes, that sort of thing. And that has been, we do still experience missed pickups, but not to the level that we were seeing during those months.
Okay, that's really helpful context to know, actually. And funny enough, it says 568 through GoGov. And if we're like successfully advertising a way for customers to connect with us, then they are going to connect with us more, which is actually a good thing. And then valet service. Can you educate me on how that works?
Sure. So it's a monthly paid service for $40 per month. A customer can have their carts retrieved, brought down to the curb for service, and then returned. So they can keep them in like a storage location. The driver will retrieve them, service them, and then return them to their storage location.
And we only have 5 homes.
We had 5 homes. I believe 3 or 4 were one property owner that had multiple homes, and that was the property owner that was experiencing delays and misses over a few-month period, and they did end up getting a refund for one of those months.
Well, the impact of this one feels much smaller to me since it's only 5 customers. I'm actually surprised we don't advertise this more to, our senior population or.
So we do have a rollout service that is no charge for seniors. So that's separate from the valet service.
Do you have a number on that?
I think that the report does indicate, but let me take a quick look. So at the end of this review period, there were 36 customers receiving rollout service.
Who does that service? Who does that? Does CRNR do that?
The drivers do.
And so they do that for free then?
The ADA and senior service is free. Yes, the valet service is a paid service.
I'm really surprised we don't have more. We at the city are talking about the senior transportation program, and that's seniors that can't drive themselves or are not, able enough to take the bus. And it's over 400 participants just in the city of Costa Mesa. So that's an awesome service. I'd love to promote that more. Okay, yeah. So I think to me, the things that seem the most serious are the things that are going to impact, the public the most or are impacting our finances. So reporting and communications with the public. And I would say it seems like the frequency of missed collections probably also impacted the most people. Everything else, I feel it's pretty resolvable and manageable, in my opinion, or small impact in general, like what you guys were saying about equipment, and knowing that we had one of our best Christmas tree collection programs of the year, I'm definitely gonna consider that one resolved as well. How long are we into our contract?
One 5-year term, two 5-year terms. So it's 10 years now. When it expires, or an option to extend it for another 5 years. Then once that 5 years up, they can extend it for another 5 years, and then the big decision will come from the board. What we want to do after that. So.
But we do these every year.
And not every year, but it's every 5.
Oh, I mean the reviews.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
happen.
He refuses,
Sure.
yeah.
That's
It's
great.
part of the
Yeah.
contract.
That's great.
I think I missed this one, but talking about waste diversion. I don't know how many years I've been on the board, but waste diversion has been an ongoing topic. It is the biggest ongoing topic when it comes to trash hauling. We live and breathe on a diversion rate. I think there's some shared responsibility both with us and with CR&R on getting that. But I almost think that it's not controllable by us. We have done, and CR&R has done a lot of work to try to get the diversion rate up, and we just can't seem to get the public to buy it, I think. I'll be curious to see over the next, we're still relatively new with the blue cart. So I think it's going to take several years for that to have a major impact on the diversion rate. So even though it's an unsatisfactory check mark on the evaluation, I think we still need to look at that with a little grain of salt. And that's all.
I think we're not far off from every jurisdiction in Orange County.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
What is our percentage right now of the diversion?
I think it's around 33%. So this number reflects the high diversion of the 2-cart system in combination with the 3-cart. Now that we're fully into the 3-cart, I think it's around 33%.
Does the fact that people don't put all 3 of the carts out every week? I don't put all 3 of my carts out every week. I put, when they get full, obviously I put them out. But I rarely put more than 1 or 2 cans out. And I don't know if that has any direct or non-direct effect on the diversion rate.
If the right things are in the right carts, then it wouldn't matter if you put it out
Okay.
necessarily once
good
or
point.
twice
Yeah.
a month. But
Yeah, it just, that number for these guys, for us and for CR must look like this. You're not going to get a consistent. So I still think we need to educate all those 6th and 7th graders and have them put
Yeah.
pressure on their parents. Okay.
My wife still reminds me we have a magnet that we've got on the refrigerator. She still reminds me of where put the proper things where.
She must be calling my wife as well, reminding Sandy
Yeah.
to tell.
Got that same magnet and I'm using it.
Okay.
This reminds me of the survey action plan that you guys made, and if there's any way that we can share that with the CRNR team or, you know, overlapping as far as goals and methods we've identified to reach those goals, because I think that we can think outside of the box as far as educating the public, and we are going to have to get creative because as we can tell, this is culturally, a deep part of our culture is not sorting our trash and taking that for granted. So yeah, like, you know, starting with kids, for example, outside the box.
Scott, we had talked about mailing out refrigerator magnets. Is that something that we can do? I mean, but like, I know that we talked about this. Residents will have to come and pick it up. We had talked about, there was a 12-page document that you were saying that CRNR was going to pay to send out. And I suggested instead of a 12-page document that we send out the magnets. So is that something that we could do? Because the magnets seem really effective.
They're effective, but they're very expensive too as well. And so we felt it's more cost effective if we give them out like at a special events. Because now we know they'll get them because if we mail them out, we don't know if they're going to get them. They could go in the trash. So that's why we like giving them out in special events. Like when we have a booth that's at like concerts in the parks, or Eco Expo, or at the shredding event. Those are great events to give out the magnets because we know they're going to receive them.
Right.
So it'd be very expensive. Not only that, then you got a postage to mail them out because they are heavier.
Sure.
So it's costly. So unless the board really wants to do that, we'd have to come back with probably a budget adjustment and show you how much it's going to cost.
And if I remember correctly, I was suggesting that we send out the magnet in lieu of a 12-page document, which I'm unsure if most people are going to read. I don't know. Like, it doesn't sound like if I got a 12-page document, it would probably sit on my kitchen table for a while.
I'm not sure if the residential guide is quite 12 pages long, but it's basically kind of an overview of all of our programs. So it won't just be a what goes where guide. It's going to describe the bulky item and the Christmas tree program and the ADA rollout service and everything that's available to customers in addition to that 3-cart.
And that's great. I
information.
want them to have that information, but I'm wondering, instead of a 12-page document, could we send out a QR code?
There should be, I think, a QR code included, but it will be a printed version for customers who do prefer to have that kind of in their hands guide.
Right, right.
Oh,
Yeah, there's like, they also, it gives out a trifold. You could definitely put like a QR code on that, and that can take us to that 12-page document.
Sure, I would just like to see the magnet sent to the ratepayers. I think that would be
Or
really.
they could opt into receiving it.
There you
Like
go.
let's find some middle ground or
Sure.
customers that are engaged in some way already.
We do our quarterly newsletter. Maybe we do a front page article that takes up most of the front page that says, we have these available, stop by headquarters and pick it up. I mean, I think a lot of people would respond to that. I know, no, I would. I mean, just put it out there and say, hey, we've got these magnets, or put a list with it of events that we know we're going to be at. Come by this event. I'm sure the fish fry would love you to put a note in there that says, come to the fish fry and pick up a magnet because they're going to go to the fish fry too. I mean, that sort of thing. Maybe.
we get grants from the county recycling agency. So what I'd like to see is a plan to distribute the magnets over a period of time and see if that can be included in the grant request.
Mm.
Maybe it's a 5-year program, or maybe it's X number of years, but I think those magnets they're helpful for me. I know.
Just to clarify with the grant, the term does end November 1st, I believe, of this year, and there aren't any plans for CalRecycle to extend that grant. So that will be the totality of the grant funds that we have available.
Well, to circle back to CRNR, something I think that they do well, but it's not consistent across all of our trash cans, is the stickers and the labelings on the outside. of the trash cans and they have a QR code on there. So, for example, a proposed education initiative that is on them would be, hey, I want those stickers on all of our trash cans in our city since we've consistently not met our goals. I'm not opposed to a mailer I'm not opposed to a mailer occasionally, but mail is expensive and it's heavy and I don't know. I think we need to find a balance of like we go to them, we go to our customers, and also we reward them when they do come to us and when they do engage in some way. Because sometimes, or I see this on the city level a lot, is like we just expect that the people know what's going on and that they'll come to our community input event or to our really awesome park design thing. And you just end up getting about the same 100 people that go. And you don't really get that, you know, evenly distributed representation of the city. So if there was any way that we were, you know, when we do our random surveys, if we could reward the neighborhoods that are doing well with door-to-door free buckets or door-to-door magnets. I mean, they're backlogged on, and by that I mean CR&R is behind on their hours.
Yes, and they actually have, since this evaluation period ended, they've worked on kind of changing the structure of the staffing that's doing the outreach. So we have seen some improvements with staffing going out and conducting door-to-door outreach. They will be starting a campaign with Kitchen Pails for multifamily, our customers, you know, 2 to 4 unit properties. They'll be doing a door-to-door outreach campaign for all of
Awesome.
those properties soon. So we have seen some improvement in that area with
That's
CRM.
great. That's so needed.
Okay, at this point, I'm gonna ask if there's any public comments. There's a time that we ask, so, you're up. Oh, okay. But I need you to go to the podium because we record. No, don't apologize.
I'm David Couch. I live on Pitcairn Drive in Costa Mesa. My suggestion would be the more detailed description you can provide for each item that goes in which in each can would help a lot. Just yesterday, bubble pack. Where did that go? Trash, I assume, but maybe recycle. Paper milk cartons, not sure about those. Almost every other night, my wife comes to me, where does this go? I don't know. Put it in the trash. Paper towels. I know they say if they're grease or food, they go in the green bin, but what if they just wash your hands and dry your hands with? Any kind of specific detail about any and everything they find in the trash that shouldn't be, or in the recycle that shouldn't be, would help a lot. Just general statements don't really work. That's my suggestion.
Appreciate that very much. Thank you.
I think that's a really good example of regular, normal human behavior and how I think that we need to meet our ratepayers where they're at. So stickers on the carts is great, but he was just talking about when there's something to be recycled and they don't know, they're not going to go out to the cart and check. They need the refrigerator magnet.
And this is where Recycle Coach is going to become extremely valuable. So someone like this doesn't know where bubble wrap goes. They put, where do I put bubble wrap? They type it in there and boom, it pops put in the blue card.
That's great. It's really great and we should absolutely have it. But I don't think that, I mean, again, like, is he going to check an app? I think it's probably just easier for them to look at the fridge. So I'm not saying we shouldn't have Recycle Coach.
I just think we can't put every single item on a magnet. You know, so I mean, I can't put bubble wrap on a magnet. So that's where the Recycle Coach will come in handy.
I'm sitting there thinking, and I don't know how effective this would be, but we've done town hall meetings in the past. We had a big one several years ago. Why don't we just have a community night, get the downtown community center or some venue that's big enough to hold it and just have a refresher course about what recycling is all about, what we're trying to accomplish, and I know the one meeting when we were talking about the blue carts rolling out, the one meeting I was at, former fire chief's wife, I remember she had about 6 or 7 different things. and she held them up. Where does this go? Where does that? I mean, if, I don't know what the cost would be or if we could even pull that off, but why not consider having a community-wide meeting? I think people are getting used to, or would like to get used to what's being recycled. And we just look at that possibility.
But we know, yes, we can definitely look into that and come back with the board with a plan.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because we know from a past, when we had our town hall meetings for our organic recycling program, we had hundreds of people showed up. We know when we had a third card program, hundreds of people showed up. So we know people show up when we advertise town hall meetings, people in this community show up. So it could be another good tool to get the word out. Also a good avenue to promote. I do believe, again, I don't, sound like I'm repeating myself, but I think the Recycle Coach is going to be a game changer. I really do.
My magnet would answer every one of the gentleman's questions.
Bob's gonna come with a magnet that's the size of
Yeah,
your
it's-
refrigerator.
Exactly. It's going to be impossible. It's not.
But I don't think it's a big deal if the magnet is large. You know, it can go on the side of the refrigerator.
Like about this big.
If it was
Yeah.
this big, that's
Yeah,
fine.
No,
They'll have to move all their pictures of the
That's-
dogs and the kids.
They can put it all around the magnet.
no, there's three sides to the.
I guess let's get creative, I'm thinking too about just like, what is the biggest opportunity here? It's probably not convincing people that are trying to recycle a little bit better. It's actually trying to get the vast majority of people who don't recycle to change their behavior. And so I really would like to hear about the research and the psychology and in other countries where it's so ingrained in, and translate that into our messaging. So messaging is one thing I want to see us get creative about. And then the second is the methods that we're delivering the messaging to. So I think our emails are good. We're on social media. I do think our newspaper that we do is good, but it looks like a boring newspaper. Like you kind of have to already be drawn to it. So possibly like the Spotlight is more of like a lifestyle magazine visually. I think that might be, people might be more inclined to read it if it had a different style. So that's kind of what I'm thinking is, okay, the vast majority of people just they're clearly not recycling. They're clearly not sorting. And so we need to get into their heads a bit and think outside the box.
I 100% agree about making the newsletter like more accessible, more attractive. I saw a newsletter that I'm looking in my email and I'm not seeing it, but I saw a newsletter that came out. Oh, here it is. Oh, no, that's not it. Sorry. But I remember that it was just a really, really generic subject line. And so I'm not sure that I would open that. So, I mean, can we just make sure that our subject lines are getting people to open? And maybe we can send out a dedicated email about recycling and how to do it, how to sort it. It's just we have this diversion issue that is, something we're always talking about. I just feel like if we create a direct solution, like why wouldn't we do that?
It's all yours.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. And I wrote some notes of things being said and things that I wanted to cover. And I think one of the things, and I think, Cheyenne, I think you said it, I would like to propose to the district that we do an annual review on calendar year. Our liquidated damages in our agreement, we look at calendar year performance, and it's really hard, even for me, and I go through, the staff does a lot of work to lay out the failures, where we had some hiccups or bumps in the road. But to talk today for July, I even had to write it down to remember, from July 1st of 2024 through June 30th of 2025. A lot of things have changed. We've seen some improvements. We've developed different programs. We approach things different. It's really hard for me to sit here and listen. I don't want one unsatisfactory. To hear 9 for something that was, a long time ago, in a sense, because we're moving forward so fast all the time, is very hard. So that was one thing. I don't know if that's something, I know that, we may have some contract amendments coming up, and maybe that's, I don't even know, Scott and Marissa, I don't even know if that performance timeline is in the agreement with those date ranges. I don't even know, but I think it's historically the way we've been doing it. But I would like to propose to do it on a calendar year. So, so when we have this meeting in March, we're going, hey, we did a best year ever in Christmas trees. Right now, we're talking about 2024. So it makes it a little difficult. So even myself, as I'm trying to go back and listen to some of these things, delays in reporting, again, I did not have one piece of feedback to negate anything that was in there. If you recall, and Marissa mentioned it, I did come and speak. We had some employee turnover. We had some issues with changes in we call it Data Bridge, our reporting system, where our tonnages were off. We had some wrong allocations. We just had a bunch of mistakes. And it took us a few minutes to get back. And if you remember, I came and spoke because Scott had mentioned to the board that they were holding up payments to us. So obviously, we want to get paid. So it was in our interest to make sure we figured out what the problem was and we got it fixed. The signs, again, if I recall, I think, so the district designs the signs. I think we just put them on late. So I think that's what that was. I don't remember.
No, the signs are designed every 2 years, so
Okay.
we've done some new design. The issue was the signage was kind of falling off. I think it wasn't being installed, and then they were being installed, but they were falling off because they were magnetic.
Okay.
And it wasn't so much the issue that it was a magnetic sign. That's understandable. It happens. We course corrected by doing a permanent decal, but it took 4 or 5 months of us notifying that the magnetic signs were not on the trucks, that they were falling off, before we got to the point of coming up with a game plan for the permanent decals, which is what we have now. So we shouldn't be seeing them not on the trucks unless they were not installed, but it's more of a permanent signage now. So the issue was with the magnets.
Okay. That one I couldn't remember, and I know Mike always was dealing with the signs. He wasn't here for me to ask, and I don't want to bug him in retirement. So anyway, I think I love everything I'm hearing from both Nicole and Cheyenne. I do think the tabling events are still important. When we say community events, is because when they come to us, they're coming us to ask those questions. What do I do with my bubble wrap? What do I do with a paper towel? And they're coming to us because they really want to know the answer, or they always ask us to help the fight between the husband and wife and who's going to be right, and they want us to answer that question. So the tabling events are so necessary for us to be on the community, because when they approach our table, it's because they have a question they want to ask us. But I agree, and I like the idea. A thought I had, if we talk about funding for magnets, that I thought even our specialist that goes door to door when they're doing the lid flips and looking, that they could also handle those magnets in person when they're at their house. I think the door to door, I think we have to do so many different aspects of trying to connect with the residents, because with Ring cameras these days, a lot of people won't answer their door. They're thinking, oh, who's this young kid coming to my door? Or who's this person? And they don't answer. So it'll even be difficult with the pail drop off, because sometimes they'll think, oh, well, what are they doing? Unless they were expecting us to deliver a pail. But I like the idea, whether it's magnet, whatever it is. I like the QR code. Maybe it's the Google survey that comes to us and they say, hey, will you deliver a magnet? We can deliver those on behalf of the district with our part-time staff person and have them go out and deliver magnets to the home. So I think there's a lot we can do with that. Anyway, I think that's what I have. I agree. I think President Schaefer, I think you mentioned, or maybe it was Director Perry, most cities' residential only diversion is between about 38 and 39%. I'm sorry, 33 and 39%. That's where everyone is at. It's pretty common in the industry. And then, something we've talked about before, the state no longer even measures us on diversion. They changed it in 2016. They measured us on a per capita basis on population, how many pounds per home per day that residents dispose of. So that's what they're looking at. And so you have a target and then you have an actual. And that's really what the focus is now for the state. But it is all behavior. And I don't disagree with what you said. We can talk till the cows come home, but if you have a human that just doesn't think that they have to recycle, doesn't want to recycle, they're not going to do it. And how do we change them to do it? Whether it's through their kids or who are the ones taking out the trash. There's going to be a small amount of people that just say, I'm not doing it. I don't want to do it. I'm not doing it. I'm not sorting my trash. I'm not keeping 3 different cans in the house. That's just a behavior. That's one thing that it'll always be very hard to overcome. So.
And I think when we eventually get to finding that mindset may change.
I know
There's
that's
some-
what they do when Cheyenne asks for best practices. That's what they do in other countries. I mean, there is no
Yeah.
joke. You are putting stuff in the wrong cans, meaning you're putting your recyclables, organics in your trash can. You are fined. You get citations.
Yeah.
So, and I know that's something that the state wants all the cities to go to in time. Everyone's trying to be more on the education side, but that will be coming in the next couple of years. The state's going to force it on the cities or the districts to do it. Yeah. That's all I got.
Incidentally, in the Schaefer and Uten households,
Mhm.
the wife is always correct, right? Even the public agrees.
It probably like your wife's, I'm always digging through the trash can saying, what are you doing? I work for this company. I dig through the trash.
Yeah,
Thanks,
yeah.
Julie.
Wife says, that doesn't go there. You're on the board. You ought to know that.
So was my wife. Okay, anything else on this item? Thank you, Marissa, very much. Appreciate it. Back to Julie, Julie's comment about going calendar year on the survey. Does that mean the next survey will be a year and a half's worth, or I think that's probably easier than doing a short term?
I think
right?
that's what we would have to do. We'd have to do the second half of last
Would that work?
year and then.
I mean, we could do a shorter one, a 6-month one, but I think if we do a year and a half, that'd be easy, a lot
I think
easier for
that's,
staff.
yeah, if we wanted to get on a calendar
that
year
okay?
schedule, I think that's how we'd need to do it.
That's fine.
All right, I think that puts us at item number 4 for the fish fry.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Gina Terrano will be giving us report.
All right, good evening, board members. So the next 2 items are contribution requests that were submitted to the district for your review. Starting with item 4, we received a request from Costa Mesa Newport Harbor Lions Club for use of 3 of our generators for their 80th annual fish fry event in Lions Park on Friday, June 26th through Sunday, June 28th. The Lions Club provided their insurance coverage information, which has been reviewed and approved by our risk management staff. Additionally, their application confirms that they will provide the district with a complimentary booth at the event, as well as sponsorship advertising, including our logo on the event banner, on their website, and on social media. If approved, our staff is prepared to host a booth and promote our district's special collection and wastewater programs, educate on the 3-cart system, and promote the new Recycle Coach tool. This is an event that we historically attend, and we have rented our generators to them for many years. As a bit of background on the contribution application process, the board approved the criteria for making contributions to organizations in 2014, and that historical background is attached to the staff report in case anyone is interested. Just to summarize it, the board must first establish the purpose that the district is trying to serve by making the contribution, and that purpose must be related to one of the district's statutory powers, examples of which are solid waste collection, recycling, source separation, wastewater collection, and preventing sewer overflows. Then the board must also describe how the contribution would advance that purpose. And together, those 2 findings can be turned into a motion that the board votes upon. So for this first item, I would like to welcome the board to discuss if you wish. And if you'd like to move forward with a motion to approve, I'd be happy to suggest the motion language if you need me to.
I'll make the motion to approve the generators for Newport Harbor, Costa Mesa fish fry.
Second.
Okay.
Oh.
Discussion, I mean, this is a historical thing that, and we do get.
That's such a small ask, in my opinion,
I mean,
too.
we get a booth
It's-
for
Well,
fun.
that's great.
It's having those generators, they couldn't do the fish fry without the generator.
We like to use the generators to keep them tuned up. So that's one of the things.
Wait, that's great. We should totally help with our equipment.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to approve the use of the generators is unanimous. Okay, next.
Thank you. The next item is another contribution application submitted by Love Costa Mesa for their annual citywide volunteer day event on Saturday, May 16th. I believe we have Mr. Roy Rodas on the call from Love Costa Mesa. I'll continue with my report, Roy, and then you can have a chance to comment if you wish to.
No
So,
problem. Thank you.
perfect. They are requesting a monetary contribution of $3,000. And for that sponsorship, the district would receive a booth at the volunteer luncheon at Costa Mesa City Hall, a small logo inclusion on their website, and all of their printed materials, which include event programs, banner, and t-shirts. As mentioned in the staff report, the district has sponsored this event in past years. In 2019, we provided a rental of two portable toilets for volunteers for a cost of $380. And post-pandemic, we sponsored the event at the $1,000 level in 2023 and 2024. Under the financial review in the staff report, you'll notice that there are sufficient funds currently in the budget for this sponsorship, and there's a total of $6,000 available in the sponsorship account. If the board wishes to approve the sponsorship, the same criteria that was discussed under the last item will apply. So at this time, you're welcome to hear from Mr. Roy Rodas, discuss, and again, I can suggest language if you need one for the motion.
Well, good evening, board. My name is Roy Rodas. I serve as the Neighboring Initiative Director for Love Costa Mesa. So thank you for your time, and of course, thank you for your service to the residents of Costa Mesa. So as I understand that you're considering whether or not these contributions serve the district's statutory purposes, and I kind of want to briefly talk about that. Love Costa Mesa Day, I believe, does align with those purposes. If you don't know, Love Costa Mesa Day this year is going to be on May 16th. It's Saturday, May 16th, and it's a citywide volunteer day that happens that brings together residents, churches, nonprofits, schools, business, and community groups to help complete the practical service projects throughout the city of Costa Mesa. And it's this kind of effort that helps us support the district's mission to help create a cleaner, safer, and more cared for community. And so it supports environmental stewardship by encouraging neighbors to do neighborhood cleanups, beautification, and to care for shared spaces. It supports waste reduction and pollution prevention by helping remove litter and debris and neglected conditions that affect the local environment. It also helps to support education, community education, and engagement by creating opportunities for residents to participate in the caring for their city and to grow an awareness of the shared responsibility for public spaces. It also supports a broader goal of protecting public health and quality of life by mobilizing volunteers to improve the physical condition of the neighborhoods and the community serving spaces. And so we requested this $3,000 contribution to help support materials, supplies, and the coordination needed to carry out this community event. And it'll support not just to fund the event, but it'll help to support and not just fund the event. And it would strengthen the citywide effort to advance cleanliness and stewardship and civic responsibility. So we would be honored to partner with the Costa Mesa Sanitary District in this way that reflects your mission and benefits the community that you serve. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Rodas. Appreciate it. Okay.
I make a proposal that we continue with the $1,000, not the $3,000. I think 1,000 is adequate and justified.
I'm going to agree with your assessment, because if we're down to $6,000, $3,000 puts us at a kind of a dangerous level for the rest of the year.
I support that, and I'm really involved in this event, in this group, and they do good work. So I was wondering why we didn't do it last year. I didn't see that. I didn't see 2025 listed.
We did.
Oh, okay.
I
in the
think we
staff
had
report.
500 last year.
Gotcha.
What was the amount last year? Was it 500? Because we were low on funds, or I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure it was 500 last year.
I'll double check. I think it might have been 1,000, but I can go back and look.
I'll leave
I would
1,000.
agree and support the.
Is that a motion?
Sustaining.
That was a motion, yes.
Okay, do we have a second on the motion?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, basically, I'm not sure. I think the city used to donate 15,000 and they did not donate that last year. And I'm not sure whether the city's going to contribute, how much the city's going to contribute this year. I think it's a tremendously worthwhile project. I personally donate. I would support more than 1,000.
Do you have a substitute motion?
My substitute motion is at least $1,500.
No second. We're gonna go revert back to the original motion of $1,000. Other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So based on our budget, Mr. Rodas, we have approved $1,000 for your program and wish we could give a lot more, but we have to be careful with our budget too.
Of course, I definitely understand and appreciate the opportunity to partner with the sanitation district.
We appreciate all you guys do for our
See you
community.
there.
See you there.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
All right, item 5. Oh, we just did item 5. Never mind.
Yes, do we still get a table or a booth?
Yes.
Is that our plan to
1,000.
attend? Is that?
It is.
Okay, item 6. Scott?
Thank you, Mr. President. Nolani Minway will be giving this report.
Good evening, Board of Directors. Before you this evening is a nomination opportunity for the Orange County LAFCO regular and alternate seats. The nomination period has been open from March 9th and ends on April 13th. So this is coming before you with an opportunity to consider 2 candidates or any candidates of your choosing. These 2 individuals are Catherine Freshley, who currently serves as the alternate on OC LAFCO. She is with the El Toro Water Board. And the second individual is Doug Davert, who is the current regular OC LAFCO commissioner. And both of them are seeking nominations to their seats again. As I said, the nomination period ends on April 13th. So in order for the district to have a vote, we would need to have the presiding officer, which would be President Schaefer, declared as the individual to vote on behalf of the district. But the board also can select an alternate to vote in his absence. So we would need that. And
Motion to have our president be in charge of making the vote. Is that how you want it worded?
yes, please.
I support these 2 candidates. They've been long-term. Davert's been on there for quite a long time, according to his resume, and I know him personally. And Catherine Freshley is a community member that I believe knows and understands what LAFCO's role is, and I would support both of those candidates. Is that the vote?
No, you realize this is not for, this is
The vote that
only
Mike
to
make the
have
decision.
a,
You heard my comments.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is simply to give us the opportunity to nominate a candidate,
Correct.
but it also, more
Yeah,
specifically, it's to allow me to vote when the election is done.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I guess I misread it. I thought it says we nominate one of them right now.
Oh, well, we have to have,
Yeah, by doing this action, we're nominating them to be able to run for the office.
And then the ballots will be issued on May 4th.
Until, yeah.
And then we will need to submit the ballots by June 8th.
We're-
And you fill out
he filled.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Yeah,
I do
that's,
the vote.
in alignment with
yeah.
how we
And we,
nominated.
at the May, no, we. It's all up to me. I get to vote whoever I want to. Right? But obviously, there's only 2 candidates, so I don't know.
Is the nomination finished already?
We don't know who else will be nominated by the other districts, so there may be other candidates on the ballot at that time. So we will bring the ballot forward to the board for discussion, and then President Schaefer will then submit the board on behalf of the district.
Yeah, and there's a deadline for when the ballot has to go
Well,
back in, so we will have an opportunity to discuss it.
This second, what is the date? April what?
So for nominations, those close April 13th.
So when are we going to discuss again at the study session?
The ballots will be mailed to us on May 4th. So maybe the May board meeting.
That's after the May
And we don't know
19th.
what the deadline
For the
is. to
13th.
return.
The deadline to submit the ballot is June 15th.
Okay, you didn't say that. Okay, June 15th.
So in the May board meeting, we'll have a chance,
Yes.
if anybody else comes forward.
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion.
Well, not the June, but you said the May.
Yeah, we've.
Okay, Mayborn, okay.
We have a motion on the floor to allow President Schaefer to vote on behalf of the district. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Whole second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I will make a motion to assign Vice President Robert Uten as the alternate to me.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? That also carries unanimously.
And then do we have a nomination to approve the two candidates that are before you, or would you like to make another nomination?
I'll move the approval of the nomination for Doug Davert and Kathleen Freshley in their respective offices.
But we can receive other nominations later.
Yes.
Okay, just those two.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Session, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That nomination also.
Thank
is
you.
approved. Thank you for getting us through that.
Yeah.
Clear as mud stuff.
Engineers.
Engineers report. Mark?
Thank you very much. There's about 10 projects I want to touch bases on. Eldon Force Main, just a heads up that our general manager submitted the final application. I believe he mentioned to you all that it was accepted. We're in the process, he and I are in the process of chatting with Kleinfelder. They did probably $40,000, $50,000 worth of work, and we're in the process of looking how we can fit that into the existing budget. So that's something that once we're done negotiating, we'll send an amendment to our general manager, and depending on the dollar value, we'll have to bring it back here. But I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that we're talking about that. And I think we're going to be okay when you look at what they've done and what they have left to do. I think there's money available to cover some, if not, most of that cost. Harbor overflow, we've completed the design. We're going back and forth with the city of Costa Mesa on traffic plans. As you are aware, that project has to do with running a 10-inch, some 12-inch pipeline across Harbor Boulevard. So it'd be going on Wilson across Harbor Boulevard. And we just need to work out the last issue with the city, and then we could put that out to bid, and we'll be getting, acquiring bids, and we'll be bringing this back in 2-3 months for you guys to approve a contract, depending how the bidding goes. Mendoza, Force Main rehab and redundancy. You awarded a project that our contractor is in the permitting process with the city. We've been going back and forth with traffic control plans and whether they're going to allow us to use Mendoza or not. I thought we had worked all this out when we expedited our sewer extension project. As you recall, we extended the sewer from our manhole up into the alley, but we do need, because of the tight working area, we need to park like dump trucks, things like that out in the roadway. And so we're negotiating that with the city, and I think we're about ready to get a permit on that one. 505, that project replaces like 50 manhole frames and covers throughout Costa Mesa and Newport Beach. That project is now done. When I submitted this report, we had 5 to go, and those are all done, and we've repaved everything. Autoplex Siphon is working with RBH, and we're going to develop a specification, and we'll get some prices and look to see if we can, drain the water, do our assessment, maybe patch a couple of big defects to keep the water from coming in. And if that's the case, we will reline if we can make that all happen. But that's something that'll probably occur, late summer, early fall, and hopefully we'll get done with that project. We just sent out a request for proposal to work on the headquarters parking lot landscaping. I want to thank my general manager for getting that thing moving for me, and we got that out, and it's being advertised. Project 535, we've been delayed. We're waiting on Southern California Edison, and we're still waiting on Southern California Edison. We're basically done with the harbor pump station work, electrical work. we don't want to start on Irvine until we get Edison to give us a go-ahead on that project. We're going to do a pipe bursting project in Industrial Way over off of Newport Boulevard. We haven't done much this period, but I've got to get that going and get that finished up so we can move forward on that. Last project I want to tell you about is we have an RFP on the street to do $1.4 million worth of CCTV work throughout our sewer system. What'll happen over the next 5-year window is we will CCTV and do a condition assessment of every single pipeline we have in our agency boundaries. And then from that, we will work on the master plan and come up with our CIP projects to see where we need to put our money after we get that work done. Last thing I want to tell you about is a problem child. Victoria Pump Station, it's experienced some corrosion issues. It appears as though when we did some pipeline work many, many years ago, we didn't properly seal the concrete with either polyurethane, plastic, or something else to protect it from acid. And we've got severe corrosion. In fact, one of our contractors took a screwdriver and pushed it right through the concrete wall, and we hit dirt. So we've got to get in there and do some work. The other thing that we've determined at that station is we've got about a 4 or 5 foot deep sinkhole. We put a borescope down the hole, and we know we have a big cavity down there. And so we're going to do some your wastewater manager and I are going to be doing some CCTV and potentially sewer bypass work that's coming, I'll say Wednesday night, Thursday morning. We'll probably start about 11:30 Wednesday night. We will finish up by 5 or 5:30 Thursday morning. And hopefully it'll give us some insight onto, is there an issue with our sewer or our pipelines that are causing the sinkhole? If they're not, then I'll grout the sinkhole in so that we don't have any further issues. But the sinkhole is right underneath the southwesterly corner of our pump station. So we've got to get that done. And so we've got a sinkhole issue and corrosion we're working on, and we're going to be working on that over the next probably 3 or 4 months. So that concludes my report. Any questions with this or anything else in my report to you?
Sinkhole under a roadway?
No, it is not. It's directly under our, we have I'll call it a generator building at that, a pump building. And we've got a diesel driven pump and it's underneath that, directly underneath that building. There's 2 pipelines there. There's our sewer. There's a drain line from the Godwin pump at that location. And then there's a city concrete storm drain. I've never seen a concrete storm drain have big corrosion issues, so I don't anticipate it to be that, but I have notified the city just in case.
Any questions for Mark?
All right, my second report, we developed capital improvement plan or project budgets at the beginning of the 2-year budget term, and we've done that. But as the year goes on, things come up during project implementing projects. For example, we have 3 projects that have had some issues. Project 347, our odor scrubber. After we got the scrubber implemented, it turns out that was a great place to hide homeless people. And so we had to work and get them out of there, and then we had to install fencing and some other things. And so that cost that project about $9,000 more than we anticipated spending. But there's little things like that we had to do. Project 354 is a fan project over at Eldon Pump Station. Because of electrical codes and everything that we're doing and having a second egress possibility for that station, we ended up having to, I'll say, saw cut into the side of the wall, and we installed a new door system. It's something that I worked with our general manager on, but unfortunately, that project pushed me a little bit over budget on that particular line item, and I need to make some adjustments for that. The last project, well, let me come back to the last one, but I have 23rd Street Pump Station. We have a generator that runs that, it's an emergency generator. It's in a building. Unfortunately, when we built that building, I guess it was thought that the generator housing would protect it from the elements, but realizing that the generator housing is regular metal with the moisture being next to the back bay, and then having trees overhead, it was wrought for corrosion, and we're finding corrosion on that generator. So in order to basically curtail the corrosion, we've cleaned up the building, but we need to put a roof on that to protect that generator set. The cost of the work will be about $24,000 to $25,000. I've got a little extra money that I'm going to need for whatever, things that we forgot or things that pop up. Or if there's some other need, I've put an extra $5,000 in for that. That's an unanticipated project that we, didn't know about it when we budgeted. But I suggest we move forward with that because it's pretty important to preserve our infrastructure. So the project 530, it's a sewer project over at South Coast Plaza. There's actually two components for a sewer 136138. We thought it was an 8-inch pipeline. Turns out it was a 10-inch pipeline. So we bid and purchased the wrong liner, and so we had to pay extra to get the correct liner. And so that cost us $12,000. It was unknown. It was a situation we weren't aware of, and all the project documentation showed that it was a 8-inch, not a 10-inch pipe. When you're looking down a 10-foot or 12-foot down, it's hard to tell an 8-inch hole from a 10-inch hole, but that's what happened on that one. And then sewer 136136, we had about 40 feet of dig and replace. And it turned out there were way more, I'll say, utilities than we had ever imagined. The Mesa Water mismarked their pipeline. Edison mismarked theirs. The gas company mismarked theirs. Between taking extra time and working around all the utilities and then getting a surveyor out to help locate those, we've spent another $12,000 on that particular project that was unanticipated and unforeseen. I want to say that there were two other items. One, I kind of blew when we were developing this project budget. I didn't realize that liners have gone up in prices significantly over the last year or so, and I misbudgeted the project. I was under budgeted the project by about $14,500. We had two bids, one from in situ and one from SanCon. The third person, PPT, declined to bid. So we went with the low bid on that particular project, but I missed on that one, and so I needed to fund an extra $14,500 that was envisioned in the project budget. And then the last thing I want to say is that for the dig and replace, we took the costs that we used for a sewer pipe that we had right here at Baker and Red Hill. We replaced a sewer that had failed. It was about 10 feet, so we tripled the cost, but unfortunately, the 3 or 4 bids that we got, 5 bids that we got, were all about $70,000. So the cost estimate that our consultant provided me on that project was underestimate by about $24,000. So altogether on that particular project, I need to move $63,000 around. So there's a financial review and there's a chart in that, and basically what that chart says is that I'm going to use some money from our Avamore force main replacement. We haven't done any work on that project, and next year there's about a $430,000 budget item to start to move that project forward. So I'm going to borrow $14,000 from that project. The harbor overflow, based on the estimates for the proposed work that we're doing, We're probably about 100,000 over, we have 100,000 additional funds than we think we're going to need, so I'm using $61,000 from that project. And then the last project, 610 manhole refurbishment. I don't have any lists of damaged or defect manholes that need to be worked on or replaced this year, so I'm going to use half of that money carried over to next year, and then we'll do a $150,000 refurbishment project. In the meantime, our wastewater manager has a crew member that's going around and popping manhole lids and taking a look, and I anticipate that from that inspection, we're going to get projects to work on next fiscal year. So that's the three projects that I'm looking to use to fund line item changes for the Eldon odor scrubber, the Eldon fan replacement work, the South Coast Plaza sewers 136, 136, and 136, 138. And then I want to also fund the 23rd Street Pump Station Roof Addition. So that concludes my report. We're taking basically 125,000 from some donating projects. We're going to use that to cover the shortages on the three projects plus the fourth one I'm creating, and that basically keeps our CIP budget balance for the year. I don't anticipate anything else going on between now and the end of the year. That concludes my report.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
When you talked about South Coast Plaza, do they own that property that we're working on, or do we own those lines?
Those lines that we worked on are our lines. So,
Here's.
yeah, your general manager, I've been talking a lot about that, and there might be some projects coming up in the future where they have to relocate some of our sewer lines. When that happens, that might be an opportunity to, I'll say, because they have to rip out our sewers, as perhaps when they rebuild the sewer, that will be their sewer, and then we will eliminate that from our books, hopefully. So there might be an opportunity to do that.
Okay, so you, in essence, Mark, you need two motions. One for the budget adjustment and one for the new CIP project.
Yes, I'm asking you to basically approve the budget amendments or budget adjustments that have been proposed in the financial review table that was provided in your report at a no cost change to the current fiscal year capital improvement budget. And then, like you said, the second staff recommendation, and I would like a motion on it, would be to create a new capital improvement project 635 23rd Street Pump Station Roof Addition in the amount of $30,000.
On that second one, you had mentioned that there had been some issues with the trees.
Yeah, yes, and the homeowner has actually trimmed those trees significantly back, so that should help. And then if we get the roof on, that'll keep the rain and the weather out of that station.
I was going to say, if it's our tree, let's get rid of it, but I'm not gonna go that way with removing a tree in Costa Mesa. You just.
Yeah, it's not our tree. It's on private property.
Okay, so we're looking for two actions from the board.
Motion to approve. Can we approve both in one motion?
No.
We have to do separate.
I believe you can make both motions on this one.
I've asked you to.
Okay.
You do too.
Okay,
I'll
please.
approve the first one.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
That's okay.
All right, motion to approve fiscal year 25-26 capital outlay budget adjustments as detailed in the financial review for a no cost. Gee.
Motion and a second discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous for the outlay budget adjustment. And now we need a motion for item 2.
All right, I'll do it as well. Motion to approve creating one new CIP project, project 635 23rd Street PS Roof Addition in the amount of $30,000.
A second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries unanimously as well.
Thank you very much.
Make a comment that all infrastructure is, the closer to the ocean you get, the more corrosion you receive. So sewage treatment plant number 2 is next to the ocean.
Hmm.
And the other, the sewage treatment plant number one is in Fountain Valley. There's
Yeah.
significantly more corrosion problems at plant number two. We're sort of in between that, but the ocean is a huge corrosion opportunity.
Lori.
Sense.
All right, Mr. Davis, good evening, sir.
Hey, Mr. President, board members, this is your quarterly review of your investment portfolio. Today, the Dow closed at 46,208. It was up 631 on the day. Year to date, though, it's down 3.9%. There's been no, over this last quarter, there's been no Fed rate adjustments. Inflation at February was running 2.4%. Your portfolio is earning 3.352% at the end of February, which is up 129 basis points over the beginning of the fiscal year. Rates that we're seeing in the markets have been little changed, while the Fed has continued to hold rates steady. As far as the Iran war goes and how it can affect the markets, we've seen oil prices surging. There's a lot of stock market volatility, a lot of volatility in gold. If there's a prolonged war, it could have severe consequences, including long-lasting inflation that could end up affecting consumer spending. During all that time, lots of it gets impacted too by comments that are made in the media. The president today made comments that there's been productive talks with Iran that have been held, and that's really what drove the markets up 631 basis points today. With that, I'm available for any questions you may have.
Funny that comment. I mean, he made his comment that there were talks going on. But the Iranian government said, "What talks? Who's having these talks?" I mean, so the social media. I drove to Sacramento last week for a SDRMA board meeting, and kind of kept an eye on gas prices all the way through the Central Valley. And it was interesting to see in the places you'd least expect it to be high, it was high, but like coming home, we got to the Grapevine, the Laval Road exit there at the bottom. Gas was cheaper going up the Grapevine than it was in Merced, for example. So it's just nuts. And on the news this morning, they were talking about stations in LA that are charged. This one station is charging $9 a gallon, for diesel. And I noticed again in my travels last week, diesel prices were the highest, of all. Diesel is usually lower than everything. The diesel was $1 or more a gallon more, which is going to affect trucking and everything else. So I sure hope something gets worked out soon.
Well, diesel is a byproduct of gasoline refining.
Yeah.
Why it's so volatile.
Questions for Mark? Keep putting money in class, okay? We talk about this every time we do. They really are performing well, and I think it's just everybody in all the special districts trying to get involved in class more. Didn't that seem to be the case?
Yes, and we're seeing their rates start to come down a little bit. They were at the top, but they're starting to come down a little bit because with their investments turning over, when they were brand new, they were brand new at the top of the market.
Yeah.
And now as investments are turning over, even though more people are adding dollars to the pool, their rates are coming down. It's really kind of in line with LAIF right now.
They still done a pretty good job, I think.
Absolutely.
No other questions? We need a motion to approve the quarterly investment report.
We'll make that motion.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thanks, Mark. Always appreciate it. Counselor, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. President and Board. The general manager was hired in 2010 and was promised yearly performance and compensation reviews as part of his contract. The board has met in closed session to review the general manager's performance and compensation. Based on the positive reviews of his performance, provided the president with authority to negotiate with the general manager for an increase. That negotiation has occurred, and the board, acting through the president and the general manager, have reached a tentative agreement. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54953, that agreement cannot be final until an oral report of the compensation increase is made at our regular board meeting. That tentative agreement is to increase the general manager's salary by 8% to $265,000 per year, retroactive to January 4th, 2026, his salary anniversary date. Other benefits based on salary will also be increased based on this salary increase. That constitutes the oral report required by Government Code 54953. You are now legally able to vote on the contract. Thank you.
Questions or discussion on the change to the contract?
Move approval.
I'll second it.
We have a motion, a second, further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Congratulations, Mr. General Manager.
By the way, I took your report on the salaries for different, to Rob Thompson. He thanked me very much.
Should have known that stuff already. So,
You the Midway guy?
No,
Sanitary.
kind of sin.
He's at OCC.
Sanitation, sand.
He's a really sharp guy.
Very sharp. Okay, anything else, Alan, for us tonight? I don't know if we talked about it, but you had sent us an email a while back about new changes in laws and everything. I wanted to comment that I'm so glad that roadkill now has to be put through the recycle.
Oh, my God.
I mean, that was, of all those list of laws, that was the one that struck me the most, you know.
That was put in there somewhat for humorous effect, and
I-
it didn't miss the target, apparently.
All right, thanks, Alan. All right, local
Thank you.
meetings. Bob, you want to report on OC
Yeah,
San?
the Orange County Sanitation District meeting will be Wednesday, but a couple of highlights. They had their wastewater 101 Citizens Academy, and I think they had 150 people apply. And I'll be anxious to see how many we get to recognize at the board meeting, those that completed the four sessions. They're also doing a comprehensive cost service rate study to validate their rates or figure out their rates. They also send stuff to the county landfills, so there's an item on the agenda to approve the WISE rate study. And then there's a bunch of miscellaneous projects to improve the infrastructure. So that's my report.
Arfa?
Well, the meeting is on Thursday, and I'm not going to attend. Bob's going to attend for me because I have a golf match that day.
Report next month.
Yeah. Well, they basically have two major projects going. I think it's the spillway on the Prado Dam.
Yes.
And then there's a channel that comes down through Garden Grove and outlets in Huntington Beach. That is a flood control project that needs work. And they're
waiting for the funds from the federal government. That's the
Yeah.
key to it for
It's not the
success.
banning channel.
No, it's a,
no, it's called the Wintergreen.
Wintergreen. Okay, yeah.
All go in place of art.
ISDOC, nothing really striking from the meeting this month at ISDOC. CSD, I'm going to incorporate that with my SDRMA remarks. I was in Sacramento last week for our SDRMA board meeting, and then on Wednesday, we had the SDRMA Safety Day, and part of the safety days was awarding of some project awards and everything. And Midway City Sanitation District, Midway City Sanitary District was awarded Project Excellence for their, what do you call, I can't think of the word, when fires happen inside their trucks. They had developed a system to put the fires out inside the trucks. I thought CR&R invented that, but Midway City got an award for that. So Robert was in all of his glory. Safety Days is really a good thing for the districts. The problem is we always have it in Sacramento, so districts down here won't go to it. Well, based on my insistence, Safety Days next year is going to be held at the Long Beach Marriott. So we'll get a chance for some Southern California people to go to the, and Safety Days, what's really cool is there's board directors there, there's staff people, there's workers. I mean, guys in their steel-toed boots and their work clothes, and it's nice to see a big mix. So we're gonna see if we can't get a bunch of people to go to Safety Day. It's free, so hopefully we can get that worked out for next year. That's really all there is. SDRMA, we are going out in April for a couple of days. We're going to go visit some special districts in the Ventura area. We had a discussion about, staff up there tries to get these districts to let us come in and visit with them. So here, 7 directors and 3 or 4 staff people come parading into your special district. People they get nervous. They think we're there to inspect them and we're just, it's a PR thing. I mean, we want to get out and meet, but we're going to be doing that in April, which ought to be a lot of fun. Any other meetings? Anybody else?
I'll submit mine when I'm finished.
Hey, no old business or new business? Directors, any comments or oral communications? Anybody? Congratulations. Well-deserved. We appreciate everything. Your staff makes you look really good, and I gotta tell you, keep it up. So,
We'll all be here tomorrow morning, right?
yes. As we adjourn, I was gonna say, we are adjourned until tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
What's on our menu?
On the menu?
No, Lonnie.
All right, we're adjourned.